This crash out was insane.
Tucker Carlson said I'm a weird gay kid in the basement.
Has it occurred to you that, and I just want to say, I haven't watched a lot of Nick Fuentes in my life at all. But what I've seen, the guy's very talented. Like, just as a, well, let me just say this. As someone who's talked to cameras his whole life, it is very hard to sit and just like riff for 20 minutes. And I think it's an amazing skill, and he has that skill. But I also have noticed that his targets are all people who are sincere, non-crazy, non-hateful opponents of neocon politics.
Right.
So you have to kind of wonder about
Maybe because he doesn't like neocon politics.
that. So Nick Fuentes is like, oh, I don't like the neocons. But then his targets are J.D. Vance, Joe Kent. He got involved in Joe Kent's campaign with a super, you, me. And it's like, what is that?
Dave Smith.
Dave
I asked him about that because that's a question that I had. So I did the right thing by asking him to his face, what's up with this? Like, why do you attack Dave Smith? You say that like your biggest critique is that America's being controlled by Israel. Then you have Dave Smith, who has been such a sound voice. And by the way, opposite experience with Dave Smith. I have my podcast. He's a fantastic human being. I judge
Dave
people.
Smith is one of the nicest people
Fantastic
ever.
human.
Yes.
And so I judge people according to my experiences with them. And so Nick is being judged according to my experience with him.
But like, what is this?
I don't get
Where
it.
does
I don't
the funding
understand
come
it.
from? I probably shouldn't even say this, but the only reason I know who he is because someone sent me a video.
Somebody thinks that Nick is getting funded by somebody else. Nick can't even make a fucking bank account. You don't need a lot of funding to just get a background and talk to a camera. Like, you don't need a lot. How much did this fucking cost? Because if it was more than $1,000, you got to talk to somebody about that. Yeah. I mean, you don't need to get funded in order to just have a because he had this studio in his house. That's how whenever that crazy person showed up to his house to kill him, it interrupted his stream. That's the whole reason.
A few years ago of him attacking me. And I was like, so I'm looking at this and I'm like, well, first of all, this kid's really talented, like legit. And I can assess that just having done the job for so long. So it's like, wow, lots of talent, native talent. And he's attacking my dad as a CIA, his dad's in the CIA or whatever. And I'm like, well, that's untrue. Then my father dies and I learn actually, was involved in that world. I was completely shocked by it. So no one has to believe me, but that's just a fact.
Right.
This was in March of this year.
Sure.
And I'm like, well, how the hell would this child from Chicago, my dad was 84 when he passed. Like, who's this guy know who my dad is? And like, he's in intelligence. How would he know that? And I
so that was his critique.
So he's trying to imply that Nick's a Fed? Is that it?
Because I didn't see it.
Someone just sent me this video and it was like, you can't believe anything Carlson says because his father was in the CIA and he's a CIA working on behalf of the CIA. Well, I mean, I think it's pretty obvious and I actually feel emotional in my anger towards CIA. And I think that comes out on the air quite regularly.
Right.
And so the idea that I'm working for the CIA is like deranged.
Well, if it helps, he said I was.
That's pretty fucking weird. I don't think so. I mean, hasn't Nick said that about a bunch of people?
Funded by Russia. Now, since the interview, he then did a thing and said I was funded by Russia.
But you would be...
Yeah, so like he's accused, like this is the same as like, it's kind of like he's said that about people before. I mean, like, yeah, it's the same as like me killing a boss and saying, oh, the mount's going to drop this time. Eventually, I'm right.
Okay.
A lot more likely to take Russian money than I would be to work for the CIA because you would never take Russian money and you're not Russian. But I mean, I really hate the CIA.
Yeah.
And I mean, I mean, that's like very offensive to me. So why would you?
It's like personal for you.
Well, a little bit.
Yeah.
And anyway, like, who is this kid exactly? And maybe it's just an accident that the guy exclusively goes after people who are in roughly the same. And then he gets up there and he's like, making Holocaust jokes. And it's like, is it possible that this is like David Duke? And David Duke, every time I had a new show, David Duke would endorse my show. I don't know, who the hell is David Duke? Well, David Duke is obviously part of a campaign to discredit people on the right. Obviously.
I don't know whether... what is the status on Tucker Carlson taking money from Qatar? Because I hear that a lot, but I hear a lot of stuff a lot. He hasn't, zero evidence? Okay, there's not... Okay, so people aren't really sure. I think that there's a lot of people that probably, once you reach a certain level of notoriety, the value of your opinion is noticed by others. And sometimes that value is not communicated in a monetary amount. Sometimes it's communicated in opportunities. It's communicated like Tucker Carlson, super rich. Yeah, I think so. Like, isn't he married into the family of the Swanson fucking frozen food company, right? So like Tucker Carlson is like probably a fucking like he's gonna inherit billions of dollars at some point, right? And so like there's no reason for him to take money.
And I think it's very obvious that Nick Fuentes is exactly the same. Doesn't mean everything he says is false. It doesn't mean he's not talented. He's enormously talented. Doesn't mean he's a bad person. I'm not attacking him personally, but he is clearly part of a campaign to discredit non-crazy right voices.
You know,
that's obvious to me. I've been around a long time. I know it when I see it.
Yeah, and I will say I don't understand it. We were very kind to him. Like
I think that that's not always. I mean, he's criticized tons of people. He's been on debates with plenty of people that are left wing. Also, I don't think this is an accurate summary of this. I think obviously like he's going to be looking at conservatives and talking more about them very clearly because he thinks that they're the ones that are kind of the gatekeepers of him. So he's going to be at odds with them more often. He debated Steven Crowder. Yeah, but he also debated Dean Withers. He's talked with a bunch of people.
Truly, like we almost said, like we felt maybe he was a bit lonely. We should invite him back for dinner. I mean, that's how good of an experience I had.
It's clearly,
and then it was a 180. So it's either A, it's being driven from like a little boy insecurity, and he just was so worried that he like just went on the attack because he doesn't know how to have normal relations after being banned everywhere.
Well, I think there's kind of
that could be one element,
the angry gay kid thing going on. Yeah,
or it's the.
He just a mad little gay boy. Damn, bro, is that where we at? Shit.
Could be one element.
The angry gay kid thing going on. Yeah.
Or it's what you're saying where he does this, he's lying to everybody and pretending that things are one way when it's not. I can say
why is he attacking Joe Kent, who... I mean, Joe Kent worked as a CIA contractor, paramilitary contractor. He was in the U.S. military for years fighting our neocon wars. And his wife was killed in Syria in one of those wars. Joe Kent is the single most sincere critic, and I would say the one with the most credibility in the United States to say this foreign policy is bad. It killed my wife. I was a part of it. Joe Kent is actually someone the CIA doesn't like at all because he understands how it operates. And for Nick Fuentes, who's like some child from Chicago, to go after him specifically, one congressional seat in Washington State.
That is random.
It's not random, though. It's the opposite of random.
So Tucker Carlson thinks that he's bought and paid for, and it's all a fucking conspiracy. And Nick Fuentes is like a paid plant that is put there in order to discredit neoconservatism and make them more radicalized. That's what he's saying. Yeah, exactly, guys. I read that on the back of the dollar bill. It's the triangle.
Kent was number one on the list of people they wanted to knock off, people who believe in our neocon foreign policy. They wanted Joe Kent out because he could stand up and say, I actually know. I've got the receipts. My wife was killed in Syria. You had to take that guy out. And
you're misunderstanding him. Tucker's trying to say Nick attacks only anti-neocon voices.
Fuentes, this child, this weird little gay kid in his basement in Chicago, is participating in a super PAC to bump off a gay kid in his basement. You had to take that guy out. And Nick Fuentes, this child, this weird little gay kid in his basement in Chicago, is participating in got the receipts. My wife was killed in Syria. You had to take that guy out. And Nick Fuentes, this child, this weird little gay kid in his basement in Chicago, is participating in a super PAC to bump off Joe Kent.
Wow.
Like, I've been around this my whole life. I know what that is. It's just an organized effort.
Yeah.
And he also did the thing that David Duke always did. including to me, which is be like, oh, yeah, it's my friend. And everyone's like, oh, Tucker Carlson's been endorsed by David Duke. I've been making like the anti-racist argument my whole life.
Right.
Like, I'm not for David Duke. Do I think David Duke is right when
He's a leader of the KKK, by the way.
Against affirmative action? You bet I do. But I'm not for David Duke. But David Duke would try to discredit people by hugging them. And that's exactly what Fuentes did. He goes out there and meet all these people. Show up, hi, I'm Nick Fuentes. Can I get my picture with you? That's a campaign to destroy credible voices on the right. And Fuentes is part of it. And I know I'm inviting endless trouble by saying this because, you know, this is a kid with a lot of spare time, but it's just a fact. And I've seen it a lot.
Yeah.
And I you can believe me or not, but I know what I'm talking about.
So he called him a little old gay boy, and he said that he's paid by some sort of foreign interest or something like that. Somebody's paying him. The CIA is paying him. There's some degree of bad behavior that's going on. Literally no arguments. Well, I think that there is a lot of insinuation, and this is kind of what happens. I mean, this is a mainstream media thing, right? Where, like, you don't necessarily say something that's bad about a person, but what you do is you make an implication. And the implication, Nick did a 3-hour response. Can I watch that? Like, there's this video. It is 22... Because Nick says words that get me in trouble. Can I watch this one or not? He always uses gamer language, unless he talks about race. Okay. If he starts bringing up race, we're going to get worried, okay?
I'm being accused of being the CIA by Peter Thiel's best boys, by Tucker Carlson with his daddy. Tucker Carlson's, and you know what? Here's the other thing. Tucker Carlson said I'm a weird gay kid in the basement. Yeah, and I'm from Chicago. You're right. Well, okay, you're not right about all of that. But I wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth. Tucker Carlson says, I have so many trust funds, I never have to work. Tucker went to a $45,000 per year private high school, then a $45,000 per year selective Ivy League school in New England.
Jesus.
Tucker Carlson's daddy was a Reagan appointee.
Wow.
And then, after years of bragging about being an elite, bragging about being so out of touch and so rich, now he's going to be the spokesperson for all the white people. Now he's going to roll up his sleeves. I just like to hunt and fish in my log cabin. I care about...
I think that there's a lot of LARPing going on, and this is something that happens with a lot of people. And it sounds weird, but this is one of the reasons why I do not indulge in a lot of other like luxuries that other people that are in my position do indulge in. It's because I don't want to live a life that is an abstraction from what the average person goes through every day, because it makes me harder to relate to, it makes me harder to understand other people's stuff, etc. And I think that this is something that's not unique to Tucker Carlson. It's something that's not unique to right-wing people. It's a general thing. It's like how all the Democrats got together in a luxury hotel, spent $20 million to discuss how they could get through to working class Americans. That's basically where it is. Bro, you just lazy? Well, it's a little bit more than that. Makes it harder? Yeah. Sure.
Klarna.
To argue you're LARPing poor knowing it should fail if there's a safety net, it's never the same? No, you're right. Absolutely. My experience as somebody who has money is going to be different than the experience of somebody who doesn't have money, obviously. And I never hide that. That's the thing. It's like, how many other streamers show their revenue? Nobody, really.
And credit card debt. But then when it comes to me, I'm one of the real disaffected white people. You want to talk about me and them? I am them. He says Nick Fuentes is leading all of the disaffected young white men. I am a disaffected young white man. I was a precocious, intelligent, young white college student who went to Boston University, who was pro-Trump and red-pilled by Trump and animated by Trump's message of America first. And I asked questions about Israel, and I was punished for it. I did it years before Tucker Carlson started talking about Israel.
I think this is what happens. And like with Nick, this is the same thing, is that more and more people that try to express dissent at all end up getting kicked out, and it radicalizes them even more. And I think this is what's happened with a lot of different voices on all types of the political spectrum, is that you have somebody that wants to ask questions about like obvious inconsistencies or problems, right? It's things like, for example, how is it America first if we're doing things that are in Israel's best interest? That is a legitimate, real question. It's not an anti-Semitic question. It's not an illegal question. It's not hate speech. It's genuine, honest, reasonable, and fair. And if you can't ask that question and they can't answer that question, that says a lot more about them than it does about you. Why is he so personal about this? Well, because Tucker Carlson called him a little gay boy from Chicago. I mean, I feel like that's kind of fair, right? I mean, you want to be personal. Personal is going to go both ways.
Israel last year, and I sacrificed, and I was targeted by the ADL, by the SPLC, by the federal government, by the conservative movement that both Candace and Tucker were a part of. Candace and Tucker had nothing to say about Israel until it became unavoidable last year. Not popular, but unavoidable. And now they want to gatekeep me out and do this personality attack and say I'm a bitter loser in my basement from Chicago. I'm a kid from Chicago. And they slipped up there because they forgot for 1 second that they're pretending to be the spokesperson for exactly that kind of person. Tucker's mask slipped, and he forgot for a minute that for 8 years he's been pretending to care about the plight of weird kids in their parents' basement who are broke and didn't go to an Ivy League school, living in cities that don't matter like Chicago, not like Washington, D.C. or L.A. or New York.
I think Nick is right about this, by the way. He is. And the fact is that there's a lot of guys out there, and this is where you're seeing a lot of this online resurgence and a lot of this online right-wing tilt. I think it's primarily from disaffected young men. Primarily. And you see this constantly. This is why if you look at demographics, like if I can just pull this up real quick, support for Trump, Gen Z by gender. So if I can just show you real quick what this image is here, if I can find this, Trump support among young men varies surprisingly. Where's the new one here? A significant gender divide among Gen Z voters. Now, this is obviously a later one. A lot more men. Look at that. 40% of men support Trump versus 26% of women. This is a massive gender divide. A gigantic gender divide. Like, it's almost double. And so really, I think that definitely there are, those are the people that are consuming this content. It is young guys that have been disaffected, disenfranchised, and they feel like the country no longer puts their interests first. They feel like the country puts the interests of Israel first. They feel like the country puts the interests of immigrants first. They feel like the country puts the interests of women first. And that's not even necessarily a bad thing. But whenever you have opportunities where, you know, you want to go to college, you have equality. Well, if you have equality, then why are women getting preferential treatment? The biggest beneficiaries of DEI aren't black people. It's white women. That's right. And companies first, exactly. So these are the reasons why I think that, yes, a lot of the guys that I think that watch Nick are disaffected young guys around his age that probably feel the exact same way. I don't think it's all American. I think there's a lot of Europeans there too, but it's very common.
And that's why he had such disdain and contempt for me in that moment. Between the personality attacks, he's lonely, he's weird, he lives in a basement. I'm sorry, did you guys forget that that's your target audience that you're trying to pander to?
I'm glad he just admits it. Yes, a lot of the people, this is the same thing I said with the relationship content, is that a lot of the people that I know that are happily married and they have kids and they have no problems, do you know what they're doing? Not posting on the internet about it. They're not going out and giving relationship advice and talking about how all women are whores or how they're not whores. They're not talking or thinking about it at all. They're out there with their wife taking care of their kids. So you have a selection bias here that happens where a lot of the people, when Ethan did those subpoenas, how is it that every single person that got their information leaked was in their 30s, unemployed, and living with their parents? That's crazy. Wow. Dog walkers, yeah, a lot of coincidences. Yeah, those are the people that are consuming this content. Absolutely. And the reason why is because a lot of the people that are disaffected, angry, and in their basement, the reason why that they're watching these videos is because they're there in the first place. If they had a successful job, if they were happy, if society treated them in a way that they thought were fair, or they had outcomes that they thought were preferential, then they wouldn't be there consuming the content to begin with. That's what's going on. And this is, again, this isn't something that's unique to Nick. This is something that's true with all political commentary. Because most political commentary on the internet starts with a grievance, and then it basically is saying that you have this problem in your life because of this system. And in some cases, they're right. But at the end of the day, it attracts a lot of people that have problems and that are looking for ways to find out why that problem is happening in their life. That's it.
Did you forget that for 2 seconds? And I'm the inauthentic person? I am that person. I am a spokesman for the disaffected white man because I am one, and you two are not. Candace Owens got married to British royalty worth $200 million after meeting him for 2 weeks on Zoom. What the fuck is even that about? And Tucker Carlson's dad ran the CIA's propaganda empire fighting the Soviet Union. He went and fought with the Contras when he was in college. When I was in college, I was doing a webcam show in my friend's dorm room criticizing Israel. So who's the CIA cutout? Who's the inauthentic one? Who's the crazy, hateful one? I would never describe a well-meaning young white person who's trying to get ahead as a weird kid in his basement from Chicago. And what is that supposed to mean? What is wrong with being from Chicago?
I think that there's also a component to it as well, and this is true with any media personality, is that a lot of media personalities try to downplay each other because of market share. They don't want to see up-and-comers, get attention over them. They don't want to see people get any degree of notoriety in a way that they don't have or in a way that they can't achieve. And so when they see somebody doing well or succeeding, they oftentimes try to make fun of them and laugh at them or, make them look bad. I think another parallel to this is, remember all of the, Twitch-centric streamers that were dogging on and making fun of Aiden Ross in 2021? And everybody was joking around oh, this guy's an idiot, he's a loser, he's dumb, etc. It's very common. And again, the reason why is that it's gatekeeping. I think that there's a tremendous amount of gatekeeping in media. And also that explains the friendly fire. Because people, I'm not, theoretically, a lot of people that watch me aren't going to go and watch somebody fucking Mike from PA or Hassan. Because we just have different viewpoints and we talk about things differently. They're going to watch somebody who has similar viewpoints to mine, but they differ slightly. So really, if you look at it from a self-preservationist point of view, it would make sense why they would attack each other that are inside of the same sphere. Do you see what I'm saying here?
Wrong with being weird? What is wrong with living in your basement? That's a lot of people because of the problems you claim to care about.
Yeah.
Tucker's at Turning Point USA extolling the predatory nature of usury and how it's preventing young white men from getting homes. And then the week after says you're in your mom's basement. So which is it? Do you care about Klarna and people going into debt to order pizzas and home ownership being impossible?
It's actually crazy. People are ordering DoorDash on credit now. They're ordering DoorDash on payment plans. It's really, really bad. I don't see Nick cooking even remotely here. He's acting if he doesn't say anything inflammatory. He isn't antagonizing this kind of response. It's very disingenuous. Well, I'll give my opinion to it at the end.
Or do you think that's a contemptible, low-status thing to be ridiculed and mocked?
I think that what Nick is really saying here is that Tucker Carlson, his primary audience, and a lot of the people that he's representing are young, disaffected men. But when he attacks Nick as basically, he attacks Nick with characteristics of young, disaffected men, it effectively reveals that he doesn't really care about them in the first place. I think that's what Nick is trying to say.
Pandering here, exactly.
It's a class issue.
That wasn't you.
Yes, it's a class issue, unironically.
You were born to the Swanson family fortune and your daddy who ran the CIA. You know, my dad didn't even graduate college. My dad worked for the tollway. His dad died of a drug overdose in the 70s. My mother's father was a garbage man in Chicago, and he committed suicide. He was a veteran of World War II. Who's the CIA cutout? Who's the poser? Who is America? I am America. Chicago is America. That's an American story. I didn't go to Yale Law School and suck Peter Thiel's dick and then get a sinecure at a venture capital firm advising Rebecca Mercer and writing Hillbilly Elegy and talking about it at the Aspen Institute. That's your biographical credibility? How many of these disaffected white people that love Trump because he's racist went to Yale Law School and got plucked out by Peter Thiel, whoever he even is?
Probably not a lot of them.
Peter Thiel with his fixation with the Antichrist, this homosexual who's involved with the CIA, who wants to live forever and govern the world with AI. Yeah, that's really relatable. That's really relatable. Do another show with him and Curtis Yarvin.
To be fair, I think Peter Thiel's great. He names all of his country or all of his companies after Lord of the Rings stuff. He funded that lawsuit to kill Gawker. Like, yeah, I think he's great. You know, funded Palantir, etc. I am the Senate. Yeah, he's crashing. No, he's pissed off, right? He is. He's mad. And I'll let me finish. I'll let it finish.
Do another show. Do the 47th show with J.D. Vance. It is insulting, and it is insulting to everybody's intelligence for Tucker to sit there and say he doesn't know his dad is in the...
I think that Nick is also mask-offing right now that a lot of these different identity struggles are actually class struggles in disguise. And you can probably notice that right now with like what Nick is saying is that Tucker Carlson is criticizing Nick for things and attributes that are held by not people that are white, black, or anything. They're held by people that are poor without resources. And I think that's what's really radicalized a lot of people like Nick, and also a lot of people that are on the left wing too. They've been radicalized by these social issues and these identity issues, but the majority of these identity issues are actually class issues at heart. And you see that by the way that they insult each other. Because why would you insult a person based off of something that you don't care about and you don't think that they care about? So it's like, why would you do that? Well, obviously it's because either they care about it or you think that, you know, the other person cares about it. That's it.
CIA?
It's a class issue.
For him to say that I'm in the CIA? What a joke. What a sick joke. Especially after everything that's happened to me. And unlike what Candace Owens says, she says, what happened to him when he was 18? What happened to me is ongoing. Okay? Unlike Candace Owens and Tucker, I never got a contract with Ben Shapiro and Rupert Murdoch. I was on Maker Support. I was on Patreon. I was on D Live.
Patreon, by the way, little fun fact, little, lore connection here. Patreon also was debanked, and they had the same problems. Dick Masterson talked about that. I think he tweeted at me about it, and they had the exact same issues. So the same problems that these video game companies are running into are the same problems that I think that he had for a long time. Dick Masterson. No, that's his. Well, I don't know if that's his real name. but that's what he uses on the internet. Okay, it's fucked. Yeah. Why is he so mad? Let me. He's almost done.
I had to fight for everything I have. I didn't get $1 million contract from Turning Point. I didn't get $20 million from Fox News. My daddy didn't get me a job in Arkansas. So ridiculous.
So I think that the reason why Nick is mad is that Nick views Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens as people that are effectively reinforcing the class dynamic. And I think that's part of it, right? Is that effectively these are people who have had every opportunity in the world, and now they're looking down and making fun of him because he hasn't had every opportunity in the world. And I think that what he's saying is that reveals the fact that this actually isn't about, helping young people or anything like that. It's about maintaining a class dynamic. It's a betrayal, right? It's a direct betrayal of the disaffected people that they're trying to represent and that they say that they represent. And I think also Nick he's been kicked off of everything. He was banned on Twitter forever. And so really for him, whenever it's two people that are very noteworthy in media that are trying to discredit him again, obviously he's going to get super defensive because he's been discredited, he's been deplatformed, he's been kicked off different things. And so when he sees people that are kind of getting together and joking around about doing it again, he's obviously going to get defensive. That's really what it is. And I feel like, again, you would have never had this situation if you just simply listened to what people's perspectives are. Why was he deplatformed? I don't remember exactly why it was. It was years ago. And so that's basically what's going on. As you should, just follow the TOS. It is that hard. I think, in my opinion, the terms of service should be just simply the law. If a company wants to have that, then obviously they can do that. But it's very obvious that people like Nick were banned because they had a certain political viewpoint. And now that, I think anybody can be on Twitter, crazy leftists and crazy right-wing people, you're not seeing that same problem manifest itself. So I think that really what you're looking at here is that it is I don't care about the TOS, but if you want me to care about it, you have to apply it evenly to everybody. So that's it, being critical of Israel. Yes, and Israel exercises a tremendous amount of power. They do. And I think that it's insane to me that Israel has its own political action committee here in America. It's insane that we have people stood up and clapped at the last Netanyahu speech in America. They stood up and clapped more for that than they did for the State of the Union. This is an unhealthy overreach, and any reasonable person can see that. It's not anti-Semitic to say that. It's not against Jews to say that. It's about a country, not a group of individuals. That's the problem. And so, true? No, a ban incoming? No, absolutely not. Don't you know that, that not on Twitch, maybe somewhere else. And so, yeah, we don't control the world, deletes your accounts and debanks you. Yeah, clearly, right? And so I think that's the reason why Nick got super defensive about it. I mean, again, I think if Tucker Carlson wants to assume or accuse Nick of being, and it's a little bit of kind of you're kind of saying both things, right? If he's being funded by these external sources, then why is he doing it from his basement? If he has these external abilities to be successful, and there's some sort of shadow that's controlling him in the back, then why is he doing it in his basement? So you're saying that he has no status, but you're also saying that he's being used by people with status. It doesn't which one is it? He's definitely not unpopular. Yeah, exactly, because it's effective. I don't really think that it necessarily is or isn't. I don't. If Nick Fuentes was in a big studio, I don't think that would really affect things. Are we good? Is we good? We had a little bit of a hiccup, a little bit of a situation. I know what's really, really funny about that? Not a single person on Kick had that problem. It's only Twitch that has these problems. It is insane the amount of issues that Twitch has with their service. It is so fucking annoying to me. APAC is jamming you? Yeah, definitely. And sure. And suspicious as soon as you started speaking about Israel? Yeah, right. Exactly. And anyway, so that's really kind of the way that I feel about it. I think in general, Nick is definitely right about one thing, that the primary consuming audience of people that the primary consuming audience of alt-right or right-wing viewpoints on the internet from people like Nick Fuentes or Tucker Carlson or Candace Owens, the primary audience are disaffected young men. That's it. And so if you're Tucker Carlson and you're joking around making fun of them, I think that you have misunderstood your audience. That's definitely what's going on. Yeah, Twitch doesn't like a certain topic. No, I don't think that's what it was. As funny as it would be, I don't think that's really what's happening. And it's not that big of a fucking deal. And what is this here? Let me go back. I'll see if I can find a few more of these here. The fuck is this? Okay. Anyway. Yeah, clip that someone. Yeah, definitely. They call the anti-Semitic, not a liar. I mean, again, like, I don't think anybody's really calling me anti-Semitic. It's weird, as I said earlier, right? There's a perpetual argument about whether I am a Jew or a Nazi. And I think that nobody really knows. There's still arguments about that, and people still aren't sure which one it is. It's very annoying, but that's pretty much what's happening. And let me go back. I'll see if I can find a few more of these here, but where the fuck did it go? And I'll see if I can pull this one up in a minute. Yeah, there it is. You're based. Well, I just listen, here's what I try to do. I try to be fair. I try to understand things, and I try to get a good idea of what's happening and what's not happening. That's all. That's the only thing I try to do. And I know that there's a lot of people that might not like that, or they might want me to talk about it in a certain way. But I feel like over time, this has happened many, many times, I have continued to be consistent. I have continued to be consistent about things, and people get mad about it. But at the end of the day, I don't really think it matters that much. Like, let's be honest. But you stick up for Zoomer incels? I stick up for people that I think are being mistreated and people that are being misrepresented. I think that's what I do more than anything. Obviously, whether it's Zoomer, incels, or anything else, I don't really care. The only thing that I care about is making sure that, people get a fair shake more than anything, right? Roach Defender? Yeah, definitely. And I've been called gay, Jews, Nazi. Yeah, I've been called everything. I mean, let's be honest, right? Everybody has all kinds of these like weird, crazy opinions about me. And that's what happens, right? Like, I'm not worried about that. I'm not mad about that. It doesn't upset me that it's happening. It's just simply the way it is. Yeah, that's all there is to it. You're fair and neutral if everybody claims that you're attacking either side. Yeah, and I think that's the reason why I cover a lot of the like controversial topics, controversial people, because I think that if I don't cover it in a fair way, nobody will cover it in a fair way. And that's what's continued to happen more and more. Yeah, if I don't have both sides attacking me, then I'm probably doing something wrong. I think that's generally the way that I look at it. It sounds crazy, but that's where I'm at.